It's time to bring it in. TrueHoop's little show from quarantine. And it's Wednesday, so that means Adena Jones, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Doing my best Doc Rivers impression with my voice. So
I guess I might as well introduce, well, of course, David Thorpe is here and John Jervay is here. I'm introducing you now, John, because I know that we're all going to talk during Adena's section because we won't be able to resist. So this is John Jervay. If you don't know him already, broadcast journalism producer, early part of TrueHoop TV at ESPN, worked at Complex. He's a father, which I know is going to come up. And I don't know, John, were you ever part of the people who made fun of the dad pod? Like,
yeah, I make fun of the dad pod.
so you're part of it now. And you've been a long time part of all the Count the Dings stuff, Black Opinions Matter and others. And you went to an HBCU.
I didn't go to a HBCU. I went to the best HBCU. Yes, the Hampton University.
Okay, so that's John.
Yeah, right. And yeah, John and I were former coworkers. Like, he's the homie, so it's nice to have you here.
Yeah. Only four.
Yes.
I'm just curious, what was there to be made fun of regarding the dad pod? We made fun of ourselves. We were struggling to tread water.
I just make fun of anything.
No, David, here's what happened. There were like 15 people somewhat involved in the TrueHoop atmosphere. Yeah. And all of them were very young, except for us who were very old. But now everybody's old, and so it's not funny anymore.
Yeah. And I'm about to be an empty nester laughing at you motherfuckers right now. It's going to be easy street for us.
Wow, you're so lucky. I've got 17 more years.
Trust me, the worst thing about this pandemic, obviously a lot of bad things, but one of the worst ones is that we can't be free. We're supposed to be free. We bet on this for 19 years that we were going to be free and clear of our rotten kids, as we call them all the time. And now they're still stuck with us, God damn it.
Yeah.
Crazy. I'm thinking about you talking about like everybody was young, and like John and I, we were like the young cats at some point in time at ESPN, and I don't know what happened. I'm like, you know, John got the LeBron gray going on in the
and the hairline too.
Looks good to me.
You know, turned around and I was 35, and what you pushing 40 now, John, right now?
Yeah, I turned 40 at the end of this year. I'm looking forward to spending my 40th birthday, a monumental birthday, in my house on Zoom.
Perfect.
Bet. All right, so let me get to what's happening in the NBA world.
Yes, please.
You know, on the internets and things of sort. So let's start out with a little bubble life. You know, I feel like we've been getting our dose of bubble in the last week. Shout out to the @NBA Bubble Twitter account, like doing the Lord's work, aggregating all this stuff. And it's really just a very hilarious account. I would love to know who's behind it. Maybe they're on the show the next time. I don't know.
That'd be great.
Exactly. So this first up is Chris Paul, Darius Baisley, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander playing cornhole at the hotel.
2018.
Oh wait, did I do the sound thing? Can you guys hear it?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, give me a bucket, man. You gotta do, Barry. That's what I gotta do. I'm like that, baby. 2018. Saving myself, man. I need me a bucket. Oh, what's that? The game. That's game. Oh, yeah, gang. So that's the gang. Let me get my 20 right quick before I go.
Doing push-ups.
So, yeah, like I just love the competitive nature of NBA players. Really, like athletes at any level. It's like we can make a competition out of anything, and they were. And then Chris Paul making them do 20 push-ups at the end of it. Like that was such a vet move in a sense. Great.
Exactly right.
Next up is DJ Max Kleba giving us all the Euro club vibes from his hotel room. I just have questions about who filmed this and how they filmed it. But you guys check it out.
He's from Germany.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the Grand Floridian Hotel. That's the nicest hotel there.
That's actually one of my favorite pastimes, David, is with this bubbles, like guessing what hotel they're at. I'm like, oh, yacht club life, you know, and people are like, oh, you're bougie, you stayed at these places. I was like, no, only on the dime of ESPN. Or
that's
like,
the Grand Floridian.
Yeah, as a 14-year-old, my mom paid or something like that. But hey,
is that JJ Beret with the mustache?
I think so. It's like, it's hard to see.
He looks kind of tall.
He does. I agree. I don't know how it could be JJ. He's not so tall, but he does look like him.
I know. And just this angle, I was like, yo, who filmed this social media manager? Because they're allowed like in the bubble too. But, and like you said, he's German. And if you've ever been to like a German club and he's like electro disco thing, that's all the DJ does is like.
Wait, you've been to a German dance club?
I mean, European. I was in the vicinity.
Oh, this is Ben Simmons right here, isn't it?
I feel like we've all seen this, but I was putting this video together. And Chad, my husband, was like, "Yo, you gotta put this in. This was hilarious." So this is actually from Josh Richardson's IG story. You get the whole thing, even though it's so quick.
This is so funny.
Yes, sir. Easy.
Like, real quick, he catches the fish and he's like, you know what? I'm a benevolent man. I'm gonna throw it back in because, like, obviously they don't need to eat it. And then the fish just like hits the pier.
He literally can't hit the ocean.
Right. It's a lake, but yeah, the point is well made.
He has this full-on lake, and everyone's just like, "Dag, that fish went back to its family with a concussion and shit."
Well, and by the way, isn't that a thing that he's like supposed to shoot? Which he's shooting with the wrong hand, right? And he's like, he's using his left hand here. Right?
Yeah, exactly. He's definitely using the wrong hand. And then we're like, "See, this is what happens." Also, though, now there's like an NBA bubble bass Twitter account, right? Like, because that's all the NBA players seem to be like. Somebody said that the NBA turned into the National Bass Masters Association because everybody just catching fish. And I was just like, these are man-made lakes, right, at Disney. And I was like, did Disney just like throw a bunch of carp and bass in there? It was like, entertain the NBA players. It's kind of interesting.
That's funny.
Oh, man. Okay, so next up, this is a Shakespearean play in 4 tweets. So Kelly Oubre tweets, "Yo, all my NBA bros, Postmates delivers to the hotel. You just have to go out and meet the delivery person at the hotel entrance." Like, he's like, "Yeah, man, I know, I got secrets. Security will not hold the food for you. Yeah, the food is whack here, but we're here for a bigger purpose. So hope that helps." And then he goes, "Shh." I'm like, you just tweeted it on the cool story. Next part of this story, as I think a lot of us know, Richaun Holmes is under quarantine after leaving the NBA bubble for food because he possibly followed Kelly Oubre's tweet and was like, "Yeah, I'm going to go do this." And then we get the apology. We all love a color-coded team-sanctioned apology. After the initial quarantine, I briefly and accidentally crossed the NBA campus line to pick up a food delivery. I'm currently in quarantine and I have 8 days left. Apologize for my actions and look forward to rejoining my teammates. I think the funniest part of this was the aftermath, basically. And shout out to the NBA, the Jump NBA Twitter account for these screenshots. Kelly Oubre is like, "Never mind." And I was like, "Really, Kelly? This was all your fault." And then Rashawn's mama comes in and she's like,
"How great is that?"
Yeah, I know. This is the best part. I was like, "Mom's on Twitter, everything. You only crossed the line for your mama's cooking, and I was not in Florida, sir. Hashtag LOL. Rich Holmes, love you, baby."
Do you know what kind of doctor she is?
No, I don't actually.
I need to look into that. That's so cool.
Yeah, exactly. So she's like, only for my favorite, it's the very parent thing she did, hashtag LOL, because like, of course. That's how you do hashtags. Like, go ahead, mama. I feel you. Go ahead, Dr. Holmes. Yes.
That's a little peek into your conversation with Denise, I think.
Oh no, it's certainly.
Oh, this is the best.
Yes, this is the best. You know, I like to brag a little bit. I kind of went viral this weekend. 4.5K retweets on this. So this is Bria Holmes. This is her daughter. They call her Baby D. And Baby D, you know, she's in the wubble too, and she's got the struggle too.
That's so cute.
Awesome.
You're too cute. Like, John, I know you got a baby girl, and like, that's cute as hell. I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm taking notes because I feel like I need to have Haven do these type of things.
Yeah. Haven needs to bring in a check or two. We can make this go viral, get some sponsorships, right?
I'm with it.
But the crazy thing is, you know, I saw this one morning. I just woke up and I tweeted. I was like, wait, I forgot WNBA players are still taking care of their children inside of their bubble, right? Like, no shade to men and the comments they were saying that, but it was like NBA players out here setting up their video game play and complaining about the food. And meanwhile, Bria Holmes her fiance is there with her. So, she does have help, but their kids are in the bubble too. NBA families, I've read, get to come, I think, after the first round of the playoffs. And obviously your quarantine time too. So shout out to women and the being superheroes. And at first I was like, this isn't fair. I was thinking, right, that women have this responsibility in gender roles. But I was talking to my mom and she was like, truth be told, it's instinct. They want their kids there. Some women, you can't speak for all, like they want their kids there and there will be no exception. I'm not leaving my child. So I just thought it was an interesting conversation.
And don't forget, they're not staying at the lovely Walt Disney World resort locations. And then not that those things are 4 seasons. The Grand Floridian is nice, but IMG is far from the same place that the NBA guys.
Yeah. Could you imagine being a kid and be like, yo, I'm staying at Disney World for 3 months? Like, fuck out of here. It'd be great.
Yeah. You would never go back afterward, though. You'd be like, I'm so done.
Exactly. I'd be like, Ma, so this is where you work now? Next up. So speaking of the WNBA accommodations, I feel like, we all saw that video. I think Kayla Johnson, who's at ESPN, put out. It was like, there was like a worm on the floor. The laundry room was disgusting. And, and I get it, right? But conditions have improved and they moved them out of there, which was fantastic. So thought this was I like also how they did this like crib style of where they are staying at, David. And maybe this was like the exception to the rule, but it seemed like a pretty decent place. It still isn't the Grand
Floridian. Williams from the Atlanta Dream, and I'm going to take you on a tour of our lodge. So we are in a 3-bedroom lodge. We got Blake, we got Britt, roommate number 2, we got Kate for the ambiance. Quarantine puzzle, that is unfortunately.
Quarantine puzzle. Everybody missed the puzzle piece. It sucks.
Oh, gotta show the fridge. Totally stocked. Hydration station over here. Obviously the king bed. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, so I just want to be like, life seems to have gotten a little bit better for the WNBA players. So I'm happy about that.
Wait, how many people were living there?
That's a good question, though. 3. I think it was 3.
Pretty sure it's 3.
Probably a 3-bedroom.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think she said that at some point.
Okay, yeah.
Want to shout out Brianna Stewart. She got some custom kicks. Soul by Sir created these. She's no stranger to custom kicks. She's always doing that, but supporting the Black Lives Matter movement on her shoe inside the wubble, which, we've always talked about, like, is playing the distraction and how people are going to make statements. The WNBA is also letting their players, right. Yeah.
I like fingernail polish?
I know. Actually, I just noticed that it's like women. Yeah. That's a good point. They're letting WNBA players make statements on the back of their jerseys. Also, I also noticed this pink and blue. Those are the colors for the trans movement, if I'm correct.
You can't get those dirty, though.
No. Well, I mean, she's probably gonna wear them once because she's
they are white.
I know, right? Next up, inside the wubble again. Panel of physicians have denied Elena Delle Donne's request to opt out of the 2020 season due to medical reasons, according to the Washington Mystics and reigning WMVP. Like, what the hell?
What does that mean?
So she has Lyme disease, right? She plays with Lyme disease. She struggled with her whole life. And she has an underlying condition. Her doctors have said that she's at risk. However, the WNBA doctors say you're not at risk. So you either play or you opt out and you are not paid. That is what's happening with her right now.
And she said she's going to take a couple days to think about it, right?
Yeah, and like she wants to play, no doubt. I mean, she plays with Lyme disease and it's something she struggles with. But if her doctors say one thing and then do you trust the WNBA's doctors?
No. The answer is no. I've been doing this for a long time. No.
Yeah. And they say
they're
independent. I'm like,
yeah.
And so we'll see how that plays out in the future. And it's crazy because it's like, she's like the reigning WNBA MVP. This is not something to be played with, and they really need to make a decision here. Of course, Natasha Cloud, always outspoken. It's bullshit. WNBA, either play or risk her life. What do we stand for? Because apparently it's not the players. And love the outspokenness of her and other WNBA players. And again, reminds me of last week with my homie trying to see Miss Loeffler in the streets. You stand for these players, but what's really good, right? So let's see what the WNBA has to do.
I have decided.
Next up, we have Jimmy Butler and a couple other players talking about what they're going to put on the back of their jerseys or if they're going to put on anything. Jimmy Butler actually doesn't even want to put his name on the back of the jersey. And here he explains why.
With that being said, I hope that my last name doesn't go on there as well. Just because I love and respect all the messages that the league did choose. But for me, I felt like with no message, with no name, it's going back to like who I was. And if I wasn't who I was today, I'm no different than anybody else of color. I'm gonna use my name.
So yeah, he's like, he's no different than anybody else of color. That's what he says at the end. And I think it goes back to a lot of times where I've spoke about when we show these pictures of players at the protests, like they're just another black man. If they're ever pulled over in a place where their face is not recognized or they're ever in a position. Yep. And I believe that's what Jimmy is trying to say with this. Unfortunately, it still has to be reviewed by the league. Like he can't even say, I don't want my name on the back of the jersey. And I think what we're witnessing is this corporate social justice. And you'll hear the same thing from Austin Rivers and Tyson Chandler here. They actually have they wanted to put Trayvon Martin on the back of their jersey. And this is what happened.
But Trayvon, so I do like some of the messages that they have. I'm very happy that some of the players are using that, but I wanted to go a different route. I wanted to, personally for me, just being from Orlando, Trayvon being right outside of Orlando, that kind of resonated with me and my city where I'm from. And no matter where I play or where I go, I always represent Orlando, Florida. So I wanted that, but they're not letting it happen. So if that's the case, I'm just going to wear Rivers. I'm going to stick with my name. What I was thinking about doing was wearing Trayvon Martin's name. I thought that would be a powerful statement because I felt like it would remind people that, we don't know what this young man's future could have been. And I felt like with his name on the back of a jersey, it would remind people of, lives that are cut short, and we would never know what those lives could have become.
So that's it for today. But I think it's interesting how the NBA gave us this list of, what is it, I think like 20 things that you could put on the back of the jersey, but not Trayvon Martin, right? And that's not happening. It's interesting twofold. Once again, this corporate social justice, how I'm going to tell you how to protest, right? I get it, how they don't want to create a slippery slope, but then also it's like, damn, we got so many young, dead black folk at the hand of police that you can't have a full list of the names to put on the back of a jersey. I really hope the NBA makes an exception and allows this on the back of it, but I guess we'll have to see. And that's it for today.
Thank you, Adena. Yeah, I'm a little stressed out about they did approve the list it was weeks ago. Part of me watching Austin, where were you when they made the list? You had to do this a month ago.
Yeah.
Or not agree to the list, right? The union agreed to the list, and I felt like that was a big thing to give up.
That's a good point. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Or maybe was Trayvon knocked off the list, or did he not? Did they not submit it? I don't know.
Seems like it was important to somebody that they not have the word Trayvon on there.
Yeah, right. And then the whole I don't want to put any name. I guess nobody is one of those things you were like, just what about that? And then LeBron's like, I'm James, and that's it.
I tell you, the NBA can't go wrong if for the next 20 years they always call Tyson Chandler before they make any decisions. He's a thoughtful man who has grown. I mean, we knew him as a boy, right? He was 18 when he got drafted, and he has become such a presidential-looking person in the way he speaks about that, not just how he speaks, but what he speaks about. The players respect him so much. Coaches respect him so much. He should be on their speed dial before every decision's made. What do you think, dude? Because he's a wise man.
Yeah, that and a black woman, like Carl said, if you want to be on the
Oh, yeah, for sure.
all a black woman and Tyson Chandler.
I'll offer that.
I know one.
Right.
Judy, can we show that little video with John before as introduction to John?
Oh, this is so good.
No, the one with the all caps. We want to show this one too, but so John, here's my concern. My concern is that you're around people who talk too much, and it's happening right now. And you're watching this.
Oh yeah.
Look at John.
Is there any part of this where Cap has come in and said, I really think you guys should focus on this part of my life, or
Listening phase.
You guys are going down this road. It really didn't go down like that. It wasn't that big a deal, or any kind of corrections from the guy himself?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he was super involved in the whole process and just wanted to make sure that everything was authentic and true to his story. Obviously, you got 6-7 writers in a room trying to write his voice and trying to write everything going on. Like, we didn't grow up in Turlock, so we really just had to take deep dive, do tons of research. Yeah, I never even been to Turlock. Honestly, I wanted to go at some point.
That's a nasty area, man.
Yeah, but it goes down, bro. It's not like LA. Sure. Yeah. They're super MAGA, like it's Confederate flag. It's all that good stuff. Nooses and lockers and all that good stuff, whatever. But when you think of Turlock, you don't really think, and everybody thinks, oh, he's from California. He had white parents and all this thing. Like, life was sweet. Like, look, he's still a black man in America. And as you guys know, there's things we deal with no matter how much money you got or what. So, it wasn't all. When I look at, like, kind of some of the criticism about him, it's like, yo, like, y'all have no clue what this dude went through growing up. So for us, it's just going to be, great to be able to help him tell his story and really show everybody kind of what it was.
Oh, it's over! John!
So in my defense, I was, I believe I was watching one of those versus battles that we were going to be talking about that was going on at the time, which I'm probably more ashamed that I was watching than anything else. But so I was trying to do the awkward thing where you're trying to listen to people and I'm trying to listen to a conversation and listen to a whole nother thing that's going on. And I think I could probably do that when I was 25, 26, but now that I'm pushing 40, I'm realizing that I can only listen to one thing at a time. Like, I don't have the, unless it's my daughter. I can hear my daughter from a mile away while other things are going on. But if it's like some things that I have to really pay attention to, I'm lost.
I feel like I understand. I feel like Amin and I are similar. Like, Amin can talk all day, and so can I. And I have to let's make sure. And today I'm especially feel like I need to listen to John.
John's giving me real stoic stuff. That's what I'm feeling.
John will let me talk.
I will 100% let that happen.
So how are you?
I'm doing awesome. Besides being stuck in the house, I think it's like day 133 or something like that of not going anywhere. I am fighting a good fight. I went to the barbershop one time.
For what?
Living life, man. Living life.
I got to get the beard, man. Bomani called me Suge Knight the other day. So I feel like
he's not the only one.
Yeah.
Apparently, I have this look of Suge Knight, which I don't know if I should be pleased with that or if I should, be offended. But Suge Knight does strike some fear in people. So
we'll give you plenty of room. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that gets me to the front of lines a couple times. I'll take it.
Wait, where is Suge Knight now?
Don't ask. I don't want to know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somewhere on Zoom.
I think he's in jail, to be honest.
Is he?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's had attempted murder or something like that. Something normal for him, I guess.
That's all right.
Yeah.
And so I'm sorry, Judy, maybe now we could show the other video, which took place very near John's house.
Yes.
You want to talk us through this a little bit, John?
John's on mute.
Oh, John, you're muted. Oh, what a metaphor. Oh, he's muted again. What's happening?
I think it's good.
There it is.
There we go.
Okay, my bad. So there's a party of some sort going on, a block party going on. Apparently there was only supposed to be 50 people. And then as you can see, there's about 50 people in this clip alone. There's a lot of twerking going on and police officers are there. And apparently this clip and incident is now the reason that the city of Philadelphia has banned large gatherings until February of 2021, except for Eagles games.
Of course.
Except for Eagles games. I mean.
Really?
Yeah, they said that the only thing large gatherings that they're going to allow are Eagles games. So our kids are allowed to go back to school. Eagles games are allowed to happen, but you cannot have people, you cannot have a function with more than 50 people. So I guess they're going to have 49 kids and students in school. I'm guessing, because if you can't have a party with 50 people, I don't know why you would allow, kids to go to school. But yes, I'm from Southwest Philadelphia. That's about 8 blocks from where I grew up. And I was not pleased to find out that my neighborhood is the reason that my city is now on lockdown till February of 2021. So, shout out to Southwest Philadelphia.
So that was like too much black joy. Just can't have that. That's the deal.
Yeah, it was a lot of black joy in that picture. I can tell you that. There was some other things going on too, other than joy, I think. But yeah.
These are the race relations we've been asking for.
I'm confused. So you can go to an Eagles game, is what they're saying, as of now?
They're deciding what they're going to do with fans. They're trying to decide how they can have fans in the building. They have not, to the best of my knowledge, they have not officially said fans cannot come to Eagles games, but they said the wording that I remember seeing was all large gatherings are banned outside of Eagles games, which is the craziest thing, which I argue with people all the time. People want to say that the NFL is not going to happen, and I'm like, it's going to happen. They're making every type of excuse for NFL games to happen, which I'm guilty. I'm kind of okay with it because I gotta Jones in for some football, I guess. I don't know. But it does seem odd to me that, you can ban large gatherings, but football's okay.
Well, you can't get coronavirus from an NFL game. Duh.
So here's it. So in one of my chats with the meme, I mentioned that why don't they just have them wear, long sleeves and make everyone wear gloves? Because I'm, my naive self, I'm thinking, oh, well, if you just cover the sweat, you'll be good, right?
John.
Yeah, no, that's not the case.
No, but they really could wear face shields and face masks. I mean, they literally do wear face masks, but quarterbacks have worn face shields before. You could wear a regular mask, a hospital mask, and a face shield, and they'd be a lot safer.
Mm-hmm.
Not in the stands.
No, I'm talking about the players.
Yeah.
No, there's no scenario that fans should be there, except for 11. Less than a dozen people go to a game, fine. But I was made just for the players themselves.
So Devin's telling us 70,000 people fit in that stadium. I saw this morning that there's some NFL stadiums have gotten taxpayer dollars to kind of retrofit to make them social distancing easier in the stadium. I don't know what that means. More plexiglass, I guess, all kinds of stuff. But it sure seems like the government thinks NFL games are going to happen with fans.
Well, that's awesome that especially in Philly, that's awesome to hear where all our roads suck. I worked in education. There's a ton of schools that need books and computers and things, but it's awesome to hear that my tax-paying dollars are going to plexiglass being put in an arena so that I can go watch a football game, while the kids that need these Chromebooks and things will just have to borrow from another friend, I guess. Or
there's a master class in this. I have a new rule in my life is always read Jane Mayer. Jane Mayer's a New Yorker writer.
Amazing.
She is just driving a semi truck through the bullshit. She's just wah, wah, look out. And so her article published, I think online earlier this week, is about remember all the deal with keeping the meat plants open?
Yeah.
And you're wondering what's happening? Why is that happening? Right. Well, Jane Mayer will explain it.
It's incredible. Yeah.
And this, it's the story of one chicken, a giant multi-billion-dollar chicken meat operation, and which hasn't ever really been very public, but she explains exactly how the owner of the company gives money to all the right people in huge amounts for years, and now basically he needs the business running, and that's why it's running. You can see how it all works. And so I think this is kind of what the NFL model appears to be, right? Is if you have the right, if the White House owes you favors because you gave money to, then it's easier to get your business rubber stamped, right? And
yeah, I totally trust the White House.
John, what do you teach? What class?
So I was I'm a dean. I'm a dean of students at a high school. We have about 5 or 6 deans in the school, and I'm a dean of 10th grade. So I see it firsthand, the lack of money and things like that. And it's a complete different thing for me because like I said, I grew up in Southwest Philadelphia. I grew up in, I guess, what would be considered like the hood or whatever. But I went to predominantly white schools my entire life. I went to private schools. My first experience not going to a white school was when I went to college. So I know what it's like to be in high school and have all endless resources and things like that. So it was a real culture shock for me actually going into public schools. And if anyone's seen The Wire, it's not too far off from season 4 as far as like what schooling is like, at least in Philadelphia. And I got to imagine in a lot of like major cities, it's like that. I can't imagine that it's any different in New York or Detroit or DC or anything like that. So it's a huge culture shock for me being there, seeing the struggles and not understanding why, like, cause I'm looking, the Chromebooks are like $100. It doesn't make sense to me why there's not funding for every student, which they do now have it, but it's out of the force of the pandemic. So I'm not really clapping and giving an applause for them giving them, because it's like, you had no choice, right? Your back was against the wall.
Will your kids be going to school in the fall? Will your school be open for the students?
So they are, the school district actually is doing a press conference. I want to say now or maybe in about an hour to roll out their plan for the fall. So I think they do have plans to come back, but fortunately for me, my daughter is 1. So I don't have to fight that good fight if decide, if I want to, because I'm curious to see how that works legally, because, legally your child has to be in school. So I don't know how that's going to work if a parent says, well, I'm not sending my kid to school because why would I? Look at the cases, right? Like, and especially the weather's going to change, the cases and, and everything probably will go up once, it's cold outside. It's supposed to die down in the heat, even though I think I've read something.
We can put that to rest right now, by the way. I live in Florida.
Yeah. Like Florida just had a record-setting day like 3 days ago.
Yeah, pretty much every day. Yeah, we're setting records. But not just for your daughter, but what about for you
as an older man?
In school.
Yeah.
So I am very cautious for myself, right? But I feel like, and this is going to sound so stupid, but it's just how I feel. I feel like as the man in the house, if anyone has to put themselves at risk, no one should have to, but I have to put myself at risk. So I don't want to go back. But if that is the difference between, my daughter getting food on the table,
right? Unfortunately,
I have to make that decision and just, keep my faith and put my gloves on, put my mask on. Literally anytime I've never taken so many showers in a day the way I do now. But the second I go out of the house, I have to take a shower. I literally know 5 people that just caught the virus 3 days ago.
Ooh. Wow.
And this is supposed to be the downtime. And I'm not going to say they were social distancing, but they weren't doing with that video that we just watched. They weren't doing that. So for me, if I have to go in, I have to go in, because other than that, I can't rely on unemployment, because there'll probably be some type of loophole where, like, oh, well, you chose not to go to work, so you don't get unemployment.
But all the students will be wearing masks, I would guess. Everyone in the building should be wearing masks, I would think. And they should look at Israel. Israel is having a big resurgence now, and they're blaming it on schools, whereas in America they're blaming it on clubs and bars and whatever more than anything. In Israel, they're blaming it on the reopening of schools.
I would imagine. So being that I'm at the schools, right? I know that, I could imagine 80% of the kids are going to always have masks on, right? But there's going to be that, just like in when you go to the store, there's going to be that 1 or 2 or 3 kids that you're going to have to fight to put a mask on. And, I know that that part of the plan with the rollout, whenever they do actually make us go back in the building, is part of it is there's going to be like a certain percentage. Like some kids come on, I don't know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Right.
And then Tuesday, Thursday this week. And then I think the following week they're thinking about switching it. But that doesn't seem safe to me at all, because all you're doing is putting that child's entire family at risk when they come in the school and they come home.
Mm-hmm.
That's the concern.
Yeah. I mean, I got the, Henry will know. I've hung around certain people enough that I definitely have my conspiracies, and Dave, you can obviously tell, also. So the conspiracy stuff in me is just going, and I think this is a whole thing with the election and trying to make schools contaminated to scare people to go in to vote and everything like that. But
don't listen to that man. Don't listen to John. Don't listen to the conspiracy guy.
I feel like my computer's tapped.
I do understand though the Suge Knight look for the 10th grade dean. That makes some sense.
No, this is what I
They
want.
will be wearing masks.
Yes.
Can you please let's say you need to have make a serious point to a 10th grader, like do it. Can you do what you do?
Go ahead. Tell them to wear their mask or something.
Yeah.
Use your big boy Suge
or whatever. I'm sure he's got all kinds of games.
Yeah, tell us.
So this is me. So it's probably why they don't take me that serious that many times. I was just like, yo, what are you doing? Like, put the mask on. Put the mask on. Put your mask on. Go back to class. Tuck your shirt in. Put your mask on. I don't care that they won't call on you. I don't care that it's hot. I'm hot too. I'm trying to live though, right? You want to live? You want to go get those sneaks to come out this weekend and put the mask on. And scene.
I feel like I wasn't as much diaphragm as I was looking for a little more
Nah.
Are you not allowed to, can you not cuss when you're talking to kids?
You cannot, but I do.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, you got to talk to them how they know how to be
right.
Talked to.
That my argument always is the same thing. Nobody told Picasso he can't use certain colors. Like, this is our art.
Right.
You're not going to limit our art and then expect the same results. It doesn't work that way.
If I come into school and I'm like, hey guys, how's it going? Awesome. Hey, can you do me a favor? Can you put that mask on? They're going to look at me like, who are you? You're not the dean that I know. You're not the guy that yells at me every second of the day. I'm not listening to you. I'm going to walk. It's literally like they're your children. I mean, truth be told, one thing I have learned is that parents need to be very thankful of educators of any level, because we spend way more time with your child in a year than you do.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
I'm with your child from 7:45 in the morning until sometimes 4 o'clock in the evening. And then you figure you might not get home till 5:30, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. You've only seen your child for about 6 hours a day. I'm with your child 8 to 9 hours a day.
30 other kids.
Yeah.
But
I
did appreciate.
They never want to believe that their kid is that bad.
I appreciated the Philly that I heard come out of your mouth. It was, it was a couple of oohs and it was very Philly. And I loved it.
Thank you. I try to keep it real.
Judy, I think we have a little parenting tweet from John that maybe we should talk about.
Oh, God. Oh, my Lord. So my daughter makes I'm so glad she's young so she can't get mad at me. Dad, what are you doing? Yeah. She definitely makes this face. It's like when she starts to poop. And when she poops, Lord, you will smell that poop, right? Like, as a parent, there's only about 2 or 3 people in the world that can love the smell that your child brings to the table. It's you, your significant other, or whatever the case may be, and depending on the grandparent situation, the grandparents, right? So 2 to 4 other people outside of, because the siblings don't like it. So my daughter, and it's hot, right? Air conditioning's going, fans are going. She pooped. She did the face. She turned back. She was standing. She looked at me, and I was like, "Here, come." I was like, "Come here, boo. Come here. Let me change you." And she goes, "Heh, heh," and then proceeds to run. And her running is funny because her mom said that she walks like the drunk aunt, like at the cookout, because she's like wobbling and everything. So
she's 1 year old.
Yeah. So she can walk, right? So, but she doesn't understand that she's a rookie at walking, right? Like, she's trying to figure it out. Like, she's not like Dame Lillard or anything like that, like a savvy vet out here just walking and stuff, right? So she's already trying to run. So she's that rookie that gets on the court and does way too much right now. So I'm chasing her, but this particular time she ran away and she did not fall. Fortunately, the house isn't that big, right? Like, I can trap her in the corner. She isn't savvy enough to be like, oh, don't go over here, because I'll get trapped in the corner. But yeah, no, I had to chase her for a little bit because it's nothing like that odor with the wind and everything just blowing in your face. I got way too much of a whiff.
Listen, John, I have real sympathy for you as an educator in a school system during a pandemic in Philadelphia. I get it. That plays. But you have one child. Right? I had twins and a nephew born 30 days later.
Oh, wow.
And the two sisters would conspire to leave all three of them with me all the time. Okay?
Wait, David, just to clarify, do they all poop?
All the time. Constantly, in unison, in rhythm. And I only have two hands. 3 of them for 2 years, bro. So it's one child who occasionally runs around like a drunk ant while she poops, all right? Whatever, dude. When you have a second one, give us a call back, all right?
Yeah, so I'm at that point now where it's like my daughter anyone that follows me on Instagram, I've created a monster. Like I've created the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. She is she loves looking at herself. This child will bang on the bathroom door because like the shower, we have like the glass shower thing, so it has like the mirror type effect on it. Mm-hmm. She will bang on that door and demand to go in there just to look at herself.
Oh wow! And
she'll go in there, she'll look at herself, and she does that laugh at this. She'll go, hey.
I love that laugh.
It's like, yeah, I'm cute. What are you gonna do?
My favorite is I saw a couple of your IG posts where like he's already trying to get her ready for the court. He's like, Lady Hoopers, what's the age? What's the age I gotta get her in? Like, what's popping? I was like, never too early. And then we're also getting her sneaker game set, right? Like he's just like, what should I get her? But I'm loving getting her on the court. It's never too early. Never too early.
She
is probably no, but I'm saying my coaching experience, which is 0 to none.
She's a master of the 2-hand dribble right now. Oh. She loves the 2-hand dribble. And I bought her one of those ball pit things that has a basketball court type thing on it. So she dunks.
Oh, wow.
Her favorite stuffed animal is anyone that it's this channel called Baby First. And there's this character called Harry the Bunny, right? And I'm sitting here acting like I got to struggle to know the name. I could sit here and give you guys the songs, right? I watch Harry the Bunny all day.
We know those days.
Yeah, so I put Harry the Bunny on. She dunked on him.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
so
good.
I'm doing something right.
Get this work, Harry. Get this work.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, you guys, this is the perfect audience for I had this like, I want to create my own conspiracy. So, we had Sneaker Week here on the show, and we learned that basically the sneaker industry is way bigger than the basketball industry, right? So think this through with me, but think about what would it do to the world if the coolest shoes were women's shoes, right? Like what if NBA players played in women's shoes and everybody was buying women's shoes? I think then that's like the big money that's how you make the WNBA like a thing.
So to piggyback off what you just said, I actually do think that I don't even think that it should be. I think a lot of the colorways and like silhouettes that come out, I actually do think women get the better of the brands. I mean, the better of the silhouettes and everything like that. Yeah. Because I feel like with the women's shoes, they're not as stingy with the colors. And I am a person that loves color in my sneakers. People say I overmatch. Right. So like I match every type of stripe and swoosh or whatever the case may be. So I have probably about like 10 to 15 like pink sneakers alone. And one of the sneakers that I wanted so bad growing up, but being that I wear 13 and at this point in time they weren't making size 15 women's shoes. Mm-hmm. Sheryl Swoops had some of the dopest Jordans silhouettes growing up. I used to look at East Bay magazines and always want them, but they never had a size 15. So if Nike ever brought Sheryl Swoop's line back out and made size 15 women's shoes, mm-hmm. I would 100% buy them. 100%.
This is gonna be a thing. I think this is gonna work.
I think Maya Moore had a silhouette that I remember a couple of. We got to make more sneakers for WNBA players, right? Like actual PEs or player exclusives for them, because it seems like they're just rocking whatever's out there. I saw, I think, I can't forget her last name, Tiffany on the New York Liberty. She had these like teal green, seafoam green, like the New York Liberty green. She just wore them this week.
That was a big deal. Everybody was talking about that.
Oh my God,
right?
they were so dope. And I was like, I need these. I was going to hit up my friend. She's a VP at the Liberty and be like, so how do we get these? And then on the inside of it, she had Teresa Weatherspoon's name etched, you know, as a homage. And I was like, yes. But I also have a theory. I believe that gender is a social construct and that I just want shoes. Like, you don't have to sell them to me as like men's or women's shoes. Cause I was like, what does that mean? Like, are you going to put a bra on it? Like, what is a women's shoe?
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yes, of course. And actually I'm the opposite of John. I like basic colorways. And so whenever I go to the women's side or I go to Ladies Foot Locker, I'm like, it's a goddamn rainbow over here. And I don't, I just want to wear
Who doesn't like rainbows? Apparently Adena.
I'm like, it's green, it's this. I just wear black, white, and red. And then I end up buying a lot of men's shoes and always scaling down a size and a half.
Yeah.
What's
I got
that?
a book for you, Adena.
It's a myth. It is. Chad will tell you anytime I walk into Foot Locker. So there's a Foot Locker like in Times Square. I walk in, there's always a greeter. And they say, hi, welcome to Foot Locker. Ladies, men's shoes on the right, women's shoes on the left. And I like stand there and I yell like, gender is a social construct. Don't tell me.
They're like,
And
man, we have you on video. You need to leave right away.
And he's like, Adena, stop embarrassing me because he'll know people in there. And I'm just like, oh. And then I end up going to the women's side anyway. I was like, I'm going here begrudgingly anyway.
It starts with the toy section, right? It starts with 1-year-olds, right? When you go to the toy store, you don't need to pick a pink or a blue toy, but they kind of force you into this aisle or that one.
Yep.
So Adena, you'll be happy. I'll admit that when I do, so Haven has about, oh God, this is embarrassing. She has about like 10 pairs right now. In my defense, I'm taking advantage of the pandemic.
I have.
I'm taking advantage of the pandemic, right? Like I'm buying sizes up. If I see like I either buy her sneakers that are that like mean something to me. Like my first pair of Jordans ever was the OG 5s that just resurfaced. So I bought her those. But like all I do is I'll go in there and I just look what's on sale, right? Like to me, a $70 pair of sneakers that I can get for $20, even though she's only wearing a size 4 right now, I'll buy it in an 8 or a 9 or a 10, so that when it comes to that time, I'm not then having to spend $80. And I'm taking advantage of the fact that I can put her in what I want right now. She doesn't have a say. You know, there will come a point where she's like, Dad, that's not my style. I don't wear those. And that'll probably hurt my heart. I actually fear that she won't like sneakers. And I will.
No, it's a big, like like in my experience of parenting, whatever the thing is that you're like, this is the most important thing I want to make my kids love. I think you want to save it till they're like 13. Because around about 11 or 12, they're like, the way that I will be an adult is to throw away everything my parents loved. Because that's baby stuff, right? So like, hold something back. Because if you dump it all in early, then you don't have the move for after they chuck it all out, you know? Like,
I didn't let my son play hoops till he was about 10.
Yeah, see, there you
I
go.
waited.
No.
Well, I have not forced. My favorite sneaker of all time is the Air Max 1. I think that's the greatest sneaker ever made. I have yet to purchase those. So I will take your advice on that. I will not purchase her a pair of Air Max 1s until she's about 13.
Well, someone had this brilliant thing, like the best way to get a kid to read a book is to say, oh, no, you're too young for that. So,
that's smart.
Like, talk about it like that, right? And then just leave it around, you know, like, and make it so she's begging for it, right? You want to keep it out of reach a little bit. We should bring Gerard in here because I know that we should have brought him in from the beginning. Why didn't we bring Gerard in earlier? I don't know. But I know we're gonna have plenty to talk about. There he is.
What's happening?
How are you, sir?
Good. Adena, you need to first show off that shirt. Boycott Sal's. Come on, girl. Let's gotta be out here in these streets.
We talked about it before we got on, and I was telling Henry, like, thank you for this being the first space that I probably have not had to explain this shirt. Like, I've worn it to work, and people are like, wherever I've worked, which is multiple places, and they're always like, who's Sal? Why are we boycotting?
They really ask that?
And I'll ask them first, have you seen Do the Right Thing? And they'll say, yeah. And then they'll still ask me.
Jerv, what's good, my man?
What's going on, man?
I'm chilling. So you've been watching a lot of verses, right? And I know the Philly in you comes out. So who should Beans be going up against in verses that you like? Nah, y'all think, because Jervais here think Beans is like, probably the greatest rapper ever. But
I mean, Beans is probably a top 7 or 8 rapper to ever walk on this planet. I mean, in all honesty, Adena, I'm not feeling the face you're making when I say that, but it's all good though.
I don't want you to go into your stoic mode. I'm like, it's all you, but you're gonna.
you know how Jerv be wild with his Philly stuff. But go ahead. So Beans versus who?
Who would I think that Beans could battle? I probably would have said like Jadakiss or someone of that caliber. I think, but I actually don't think that would be fair to Kiss. Right?
Wow.
Right. And this is coming from a guy who is probably the biggest Jadakiss fan. I actually think Jadakiss won the actual battle when they battled like in real life, and people thought that people were going to die and all types of things, right?
Right. Not
but like Beans is like one of those guys that outside of like your Jays and all those, he's like that to me. He's on that next level below them. So I love T.I., but like a T.I. or something like that would be a dope battle for Beans. It's got to be someone that has like those grimy hits. It can't be all the flutes and xylophones and things like that. It's got to be like the type beats and stuff.
That's exactly what I think of when I think of Philly. And
it's just, and it's hilarious because I mean, there are people in the chat who obviously who follow Count and Diggs and don't let Trey or Waz start talking anything sideways about Philly because Jerv just gets on his soapbox.
And it's usually Waz too.
Well, listen, I got to stick up for Waz, my fellow New York guy, right? Like we gotta rep our New York people.
Nah, bro, you might as well let Waz went Hollywood on everybody. So don't even worry about that. Waz is a Cali guy now.
The other day I was like, he's like, bro, it's over. He is full on Hollywood. It's over.
One, he doesn't know if he's from Queens anymore, Brooklyn. Like Waz is just a straight Hollywood guy now, man. Someone said top 7 or 8 in the Philly. Okay, listen.
Did you see what it is?
That person needs to be banned.
Caleb Landmaster, who is a CTD guy, he's Count the Diggs all the way. He's like, nah.
Beans is the greatest rapper to ever come out of Philadelphia. Well, sorry. Black Thought is. I apologize. Black Thought is. Black Thought's probably like a top 3 or 4 rapper to ever.
Oh, now that I'll co-sign that with you. Yeah, we right.
Black Thought's probably like he's like the most disrespected rapper that whatever. But
I mean, I feel like Philly, you just have to like have this like disrespect. I feel like everyone has a chip on their shoulder from Philly. I don't know if it's like
Philly especially.
I-95 thing. It's like, oh, we're all the way down here, But
the beef between us and New York is a legit beef. Like I actually don't particularly care for anything. New York. I think New York pizza is overrated. I think, yeah. I mean,
and Waz.
Yeah, I think Waz is overrated. Yes, Waz is overrated. Yes. And anything New York Knicks is overrated.
Listen. Gervais is a guest on the show, so I don't want to give him that smoke. But we'll talk later.
A few months ago, I told Henry I thought we should have a friend of mine who's kind of a sneakerhead on. And then Henry had this amazing idea of let's devote a whole week to sneakers. Henry, I think it's pretty clear we need a rap week.
Oh, yeah.
I won't say a word the entire time because I don't listen to music anymore, but I'll be fascinated to hear what these guys have to say about it.
Yeah, we'll get Jerv on here for Philly Day, and then, then after that, we'll kill him with a New York Day because, everyone knows all the great rappers come from New York. I mean, that's just
like battle of the cities, like LA comes through, New York comes through.
What was my man's name that had that Panda? He's from New York, right? Right? Yeah. So yeah, all the good rappers come from New York. You're absolutely right.
We're out of time for Gervais. Isn't that crazy?
But there's also, I mean, Philly's just mad too. Like I had an early experience of in the Iverson days. I think Iverson days. Sixers Pacers playoff game in Philly, and the Sixers lose. This is like the Larry Brown Pacers, I think. I'm right? Reggie Miller kind of time?
No, Larry should have still been the Sixers coach probably.
So I think it was even older before that.
Okay.
Earlier, my memory's so bad. But definitely it was Reggie Miller beat the Sixers in Philadelphia. This is what happened at the game. Maybe it's first round, like game 1 or game 2. And we're walking out. Bummer, Sixers lost. What a bummer. and everyone's filing back their cars. We've all seen this scene a million times. And there's like a 12-year-old boy, a 13-year-old boy in a Reggie Miller jersey.
Oh, no.
It's in Philadelphia. It's in Philadelphia?
Yeah.
Oh, he knew what he was doing.
What he was doing was running as fast as he can. It suddenly turned from like, you know, I grew up going to basketball games in Portland where it'd be like, hey, good win, buddy. You know, like then anyway. Now maybe not, but yeah, everyone was like, that guy's in a fucking Reggie Miller jersey, and then it was just like it was on, like he was, you know, and I didn't see how it ended, but I was like, oh, Philly is not messing around.
Philly and Oakland does not play.
Jerv, and this is a serious question. I know like Iverson means something like, I mean, to Philly that he just cannot mean to any other place in the world. And I wonder, because sometimes you can be objective, Jerv, sometimes. Do you think that your Philly, you know, just you love it, that's home. Does that make you sometimes a little bit objective when discussing Iverson? Because whenever I talk about him, whenever everybody said, I'll rate him basketball-wise. And then people want to talk about all the off-the-court stuff, and I go, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about strictly just playing basketball, not what he meant to the culture and all that. If you add all that in, yeah, I'm giving you all that. Just strictly, straight-up basketball. And then we get into this whole back and forth about, oh, he's probably the greatest point guard. I'm like, no, dude, he's not. Like, he's not.
Well, no, he's not the greatest point guard, but I will say, to piggyback off of how it always goes whenever this comes up, I do think Allen Iverson is the most since Michael Jordan, he's the most influential person to come into the NBA. But I think that I do think that me being from Philly does play into my love for him. Henry, you were talking about like being in awe of meeting, I forget who it was. I've been, you know, being in the business and working and stuff like that, like I've never truly been in awe of like being around anybody, right? Like never. I was at Iverson's Hall of Fame induction. I was like the biggest little kid you would ever imagine. He got there late and everyone was like, oh, pissed. And I'm like, but this is him, right? Like, so I have a cool Iverson story. In college, I went to Hampton University. Iverson's from Newport News, probably about 8 minutes from Hampton. And he would be at Hampton like during Sixers training camp, right? So like I'm reading reports, oh, Iverson's working out or whatever. And I'm like, he's not working out. He's like he's right over there. Like I'm looking at him on my campus in a Bentley. And at that point in time, there was only like 2 or 3 Bentleys that would ever come on Hampton's campus. It was Iverson's and like Pharrell's and then, you know, whoever the drug dealer was that was like dealing with somebody or whatever the case may be, right? So like those are the 3 Bentleys. But so my love for Iverson, it's impossible for me to not talk about his impact culturally because it's truly a part of the NBA now. Like people have to wear suits and things like that. Like to me, Iverson made the game ours again. If that, you know what I mean? Like he made it ours. Like he showed us that, yo, like you don't have to conform. You don't have to become whatever it is that you know, like if you're going to be a reporter, you're supposed to shave your beard and you have to have this because, or if I'm going on a job interview, I can't come in with this beard because I'm intimidated and things like that. And then you got Iverson. He's got the baggy jeans. He's got the chain. He's got the hat on. You know what I mean? Like
what was the music? I forget, but he got the Sixers.
Oh, 40 bars.
What was it?
His album, 40. His song, 40 bars.
The Sixers in the arena played a song of his choosing during warm-ups, and I was like, "Oh, this is a different arena now."
I don't know this.
I'll tell you what it was.
I'll say this: I've been going to Sixers games since my father and I mean, so recently, you know, being in other states, traveling, and just like not going. My father and I went to every opening night. I mean, I was there for Sharon Wright. I mean, I was given his jersey opening night. I was given the Sean Bradley jersey opening night. I was at the arena when they drafted Larry Hughes and being pissed because I was like, Paul Pierce. Like, it's pretty good, right? But there was nothing like this is, you know, it's sellout arenas now. Like I'm sitting way better seats now than I ever sat in my life as a kid. But there was nothing like the arena during that Iverson era. Like there was nothing like
Electric.
it. It was a fashion show. It was
They
a
did this
gathering. Yeah, like to Iverson, to us, Iverson he's from Virginia, but he's us. He is a blue collar guy. And I'm an apologist for him. He does things. I'm like, it's Iverson, right? Like, like, I asked Iverson for an autograph, and he laughed at me. I'm like, well, you shouldn't have asked him for an autograph, right? Like, it's Iverson. Like, why would you do that? Like, you're not just gonna go up and talk to Michael Jordan and then get chameleonaired, right? Like, you know the stories. You hear the stories about Iverson. So, and I mean, and from a financial standpoint, the stuff that Iverson did for the city gets totally overlooked.
Yeah.
He changed that St. Joe's University area into the place to be. There's a Fridays in Philadelphia that is like called Club Fridays at some point in time because Allen Iverson would always go to Fridays. He started out at Houlihan's across the street, and then he would end up at Fridays. And a good friend that I grew up with was a bartender, and she's actually from Norfolk. So they bonded, like not the bonded, like the stories of Iverson, but like they were actually good friends, right? Yeah. And I've heard so many good things about dude that it's like he's just it to me, right? Like there'll never be another guy that comes in the league. I mean, at 6 foot, they would dominate the league the way he did, to be able to impact the league the way he did. Like I used to work Villanova basketball camp. I would see little white children with arm sleeves,
cornrows and arm sleeves.
I mean, that's not happening if you're not him, right? Like, and then if being in Virginia, the stories that I would hear about him just being like this awesome football, like that stuff's true.
Oh yeah.
I've been to Bethel. To cover like basketball games and things like that, in college, go to this game, give me, I'm in front of the camera with the little microphone, selling this dream that I'm going to be, the face of whatever. I think at that time I wanted to be like the next great Sports Center guy. Right. And you go in there and it's just like, it's Iverson, like you can't go to a Boo Williams game and it not be Iverson. I was outside trying to get into when LeBron was in Virginia for the Boo Williams. I didn't get in. Because it was like the line for that was longer than the PennDOT and all those like cars. I don't know what they call it in other places, but in Philadelphia it's PennDOT where you get your license and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like the line is like a block and a half long right now because of the pandemic. Right. It was probably 3 blocks long for that LeBron thing. But in that line, you'll see Bethel's number 3 jerseys. Right? Awesome. So like the only thing I ever missed for Iverson was his comeback game. I've been at everything else monumental for him as far as dealing with Philadelphia, except for that first time he came back and kissed the court. I was at the game, but I got there super duper late, and I was actually pissed at my friends for that. They took the highway, and we got stuck in traffic.
I loved all the Philly passion that came out. I mean, y'all heard it, right? I mean, it's kind of partly why I did that, because I knew he would get so fired up. And then he dropped the casual dude in there. Like, no, that's what's up, man.
A1.
John, thank you so much. We're out of time, but we'll do this again.